So one of the other things that I get a lot in my practice, and sometimes it gets me, I'm an intense person and I get really mad, is when a patient comes to me and they said, my doctor or my nurse or my naturopath told me to go on a ketogenic diet or a low carbs diet or whatever diet, right? But lately, it's the ketogenic diet that's really, really popular. People tell me, oh, yeah, I've seen so much results. Yeah, but you see results for a really short term. Anyways, the problem with the ketogenic diet is that the weight is not the problem. The problem is the fitness level, is the lack of exercise and too much bad food and not enough good food that cause the obesity and the blood pressure and the diabetes and the heart disease and the strokes and all that stuff and the cancer. Basically, by trying to change the weight, you're not fixing the first problem, which was the lifestyle habits. And so you're creating someone who's even more obsessed and more craving sugars by starving the brain of sugar. People like the ketogenic diet because while you're on the ketogenic diet, you're so starved of sugar that your body goes into a starve adapted mode. And I guess it's a good way to survive. Like if we were in the wild in the winter where there's no food, that eventually you're so much stress that the hunger signal gets turned off. And so that's why people like the ketogenic diet. They're like, I'm not hungry, I feel great, I can see, I can work really fast, I'm not sleepy. Well, when you're in the stress mode, all the blood goes to your heart and your head so you can think fast. You're in the fight or flight response. You're in the stress mode. Yeah, you're going to be great, but this is a catabolic state. When you eat carbs, you go from stress mode to relax mode. But if you're in a ketogenic diet for a long time, you're in the stress mode for a really, really long time. So you're breaking down your muscles. The brain needs sugar. If you only eat fat, sure, it will use a lot of your own fat to get the energy by using the ketone bodies. But the brain needs also sugar. At least 30% of its total energy has to come from sugar. So what happens is that you start using up your own muscles. One day of not eating enough or restricting calories in nursing home has been evaluated. I don't actually have the numbers in patients on a ketogenic diet, which is because it hasn't been really studied, which is one of the problems with ketogenic diet, is that people recommend it left and right and center without even being studied enough. But anyways, we know that in nursing home, a patient who's not eating enough will lose so much muscle that it will take 3 months to gain it all back. So if someone's to do a 30-day ketogenic diet, they go, woo, I lost so much weight, I feel great, blah, blah, blah. But they've stripped their body of a lot of muscles. And we know that muscles is the one riding your metabolic rate. So if you have less muscle, you need less calories after. When you're in a ketogenic diet, you stop producing heat as well. Like people are always cold. You are in a starved stress mode and you're adapted. You've made your body able to survive with less. So what happens is that you can stay on that diet because people cannot keep on going the rest of their life eating just cream and butter and bacon, right? You have to go back. You're going to go to a wedding at some point and eat cake, right? Eventually you starve the sugar so much it's not palatable, and people don't stay on those diets because they really, really suck. You don't want to eat butter and fat all day. Nobody does, right? So what happens is that when you go back, you haven't fixed the problem at the first place, which was not exercising enough and eating too much meat or blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah. So it is a very short term, not even a solution, but it's a short term thing that happened where your weight drops, but you haven't changed anything of the behavior that made you to gain weight in the first place. And you're eating all that fat that, if people were eating walnuts, that wouldn't be so bad, but people eat cream, they eat butter, they eat bacon, which we talked about is really high in nitrates, sodium, and free radicals. And so they're eating all the foods that are more likely to cause heart attack and disease and strokes and blood pressure and blah, 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 and cancer. You're eating the wrong food, so you're not fixing anything. You're just going to increase your risk of death. And you know what? It makes sense because I've studied university about nutrition, but the problem, it's been studied as well. So if you go see someone and they tell you to go and do the ketogenic diet, they don't know about food, first of all, because if you studied about food, you would know that It's not a good way. And it's also because that means you're not reading any scientific literature on that topic. It's been written black and white in the Lancet that eating low carb food increase your mortality risk. So my threes, it's not just a theory, it's scientific knowledge that's been proven with scientific studies. So if you don't know this and you're still recommending ketogenic diet, then you're not a very nice person, right? You should know better. Like, you cannot make diet recommendations if you don't know your stuff. If someone tells you to go on a ketogenic diet, they either don't have the knowledge that ketogenic diets are bad, or they're after your money. Either way, they shouldn't be giving you nutrition advice. Thanks you, I'm done my rant.